Hey everybody, this is going to be my fourth video of my Mustang Super Coupe build. You can see here now that we do have the new motor in, and you can see we have almost all of the tensioners. We're missing this one here. I ordered one from a good guy by the name of Ryan who does Super Coupe parts, and for some reason when it got shipped, backside of it got messed up, so we're still waiting on that. He's sending me out a new one. He's a good guy. Everything else is basically in. Using the Mustang alternator though, and this is an interesting thing and why I'm making this video to show you, is that it has an 8-groove belt on it, or a pulley for an 8-groove belt. That comes straight from a Super Duty. So we're going to be using the original Mustang alternator, so we don't have to change any wiring there. But then, if you can also see, it's a little bit rough, but you can see where we had to kind of take some material off there to get the alternator to actually fit. And I've got a mock-up bolt in there just to make sure that it all fits when we set it in there. We're going to take that out, put some new bolts in there, and get it looking pretty. And then right here you can see the radiator intercooler ducting right there. And we still have to fab up some mounts for that. So we got those, and what I'm probably going to do, let's see if I can't find it here, is use the existing Mustang bracket here. Let's see if I can't hang this light. Use the existing Mustang bracket, which this is the wrong one actually, but it locates off of this hole here, this hole and this bolt. And try to do something here and maybe weld it to this or make a little bracket to where we can still use the original rubber mounts, that way it's not hard mounted or anything. And that should be just about it for now. We still haven't put the physical supercharger and all that on because this heater line here is just in the wrong spot. It needs to be over here. So what we're going to try to do is see if we can't either tighten this in or loosen it up and maybe put a little bit of thread tape on there, so that way that's going to fit. So that way we can use the original Mustang hose here for that. And then the other thing is most of the sensors, the wiring for this so far hasn't been too bad. This is the Mustang coolant temp sensor, so we're going to use that instead. It just threaded right in, so I didn't have to swap out that sensor. The only sensors and wiring that I had to change out was this one over here on the coil pack because it was broken from the Mustang, and the one for the cam position sensor, we swapped that one out, and then we also swapped out the whatever the other one was, I can't remember right now off the top of my head. We did that. And so it's basically all well and good. The only thing that we have left to plumb is the tube here, and then the Delta PFE, this guy right here. And that, we actually came up with a very interesting fix. We have one of those K-member braces or whatever for the strut tower here that goes across, and so we're going to mount that up on there, because if you can see it right here, that's the bolt for it, and there's the other bolt, and so it kind of is going to run right in line here. So we're going to see if we can't just mount it maybe to the underside of it so that it sits right about here, and it's not in the way of the throttle body, it's not getting too close to the firewall to where it's going to be hit or broken or anything. So that's all going to work out pretty good, we're hoping. That's about it right now. Sadly, the car is still up on jack stands. There is one other thing that I wanted to document here, is if we come over to the old motor, I thought this was the original motor that came with the vehicle. Turns out it probably wasn't. And if anybody on YouTube here can shed some light, when we took it off, if you can see through the cob of wiring here, it had a little sensor here in the back. This is the intake air temp sensor. Now on the Mustang, this is in the intake tube right after the air filter and the MAF. So there shouldn't be one here. And I know that the Thunderbird had tons of extra sensors, like there was 2 or 3 coolant temp sensors, and the Mustang only had 1. So if anybody could shed some light on here, if the 3.8 Thunderbirds had this sensor, and then that would make this a 3.8 intake manifold, that would shed a little bit of light on there, because that really doesn't make sense. There was no wiring going to it or anything. And the other thing is, I saw this little tag here. That's a little rebuild tag. See if it'll focus on it. Little rebuild tag sitting here on the back of the block. So this was a rebuilt motor, and by the time that I got it, the dial on the dash said it had about 180,000 miles on it. So clearly the engine's been rebuilt, but all the main bearings in this thing are shot. I mean, it's just, this motor is definitely bad. So we're going to try to rebuild this and maybe locate it into another vehicle. That's it. If you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them in the comments.